So in today's video, we are obviously by this thumbnail and the title, we are going back to our cube rolling game. Now, I have been working on this game as a separate project, just in my free time to kind of like get ahead of it and try and build it out and see what I can do with it. But we'll jump back to where we left off in our previous episode, which I think I can remember, which we tried to actually can't actually remember. Forget about that. It's been so long ago. But today we're gonna go back and see if we can do something about the detecting which platform the cube is actually sitting on, so that we know when the cube is on the start platform. Not that we need to know that, but we need to know when it's on the end platform, so we can go and trigger like the next level to load in and get rid of the current level. So I'll start working on that, and then depending on how long that takes, we might start working on a UI element, so that when we have finished the current level that you're on, we get a UI panel that shows up and asks you, like, eventually it will give you information about the level, so it'll tell you your score. It'll give you options like go back to the main screen or go to the next level. And yeah, so it will say level complete or victory, one of the three or one of the two. But yeah, today we're going to start with our platform and try and figure out how to detect which one we're on, and then we'll move on to our UI. So let's jump in and get it started. So I can give you a quick demo of the other one that I've been working on in the background. Now, I've done a lot in this one. Oh, you can't really see what I've done because I've like turned things off because I'm currently working on more than one thing at the same time. So this is what it looks like. Now, bear in mind that we started off with this game where we have our platform. We have a cube that we rotate from one platform onto the other using the edge of the face. And then eventually when you're on the end platform, which is the green one, it should trigger a next level to be loaded in, or at least give you that UI that I was talking about earlier. So this is the game that I'm working on now in my own time. So what it does is we have this cube here, and ignore these things because we'll eventually get there at some point, but I've made like different types of platforms. So ones that move, ones that you actually have to press down in order to get other platforms to move into position in order for you to complete the level. But this is a simple level here. All you have to do is rotate the cube along the platform onto the end platform, which is the green one, and you can see this is the UI I was talking about. Your score is not your score. It tells you what your score is, which is 7. It tells you what level you're on, and then I haven't really figured out what I'm doing at the stars. That was just like a placeholder. So the next one, you press next, and then it gives you this level. So this level, something happened to it where this yellow platform is supposed to be in the middle here, so you don't really have a route to the end platform, which is over here. And you can see in the corner here, there's this funny looking platform, which is supposed to be a button platform. So you go along it and then you stand on there, and then it's supposed to move this yellow one into where it was, so that it eventually gives you that route to this end platform. And also I haven't done the falling off the platforms yet, but that's the aim of the game. So you go to the next one, and then it triggers the next platform to be loaded in. And yeah, but ignore that moving platform because that is currently broken. So that is eventually what we should get this game to look like. So having said that, I'm not quite sure how far I'm going to take this game as a series, but I'm going to carry on working on the game and probably release it on itch.io one day, maybe when it gets to a point that people can play it, because it is quite complicated. I had to figure out how to load the different levels in using a text file, because I don't really want to generate each level manually. So I'm using characters in a text file that represent like platforms and starting points and all that, and then reads it, and whatever character it is, it spawns a platform in the correct location. So, but forget about all of that. Today we're going to get back into this game, and we are going to work on our trigger for our endpoint and loading in a new level. So To do that, we need to go to our prefabs, and on our endpoint, we'll start by adding it onto our endpoint and as well as our start point, because we need to detect which platform we are on. And to do that, I believe currently we have it. How do we have it? Check platform. Yeah, so we have the script that uses a raycast, which checks which platform we are on. But we're gonna leave that for now. We might go back to that later on, but I'm just gonna simplify it a lot, just for the time being. And what we're gonna do is we are going to create a trigger. So to do that, you can see that we have to go and deal with this quick. So let's just get rid of that because we don't really need that. I think that's all we have to. We can get rid of that as well. And hopefully that will be all the errors gone. Okay, so let's go to our endpoint. So we're going to create a new script on our endpoint, and that is going to be called our platform detector. So we'll go and add that onto there. And before we go and edit that script, we need to add another collider onto here. So we're going to add a sphere collider. And where is that? So let's go. Okay, here's our sphere collider. Now we don't really need it that big. We could just leave it because it is going to be a trigger to the cube that you control. This white one here, you will be able to go through it. But we don't really need it that big, so let's go and resize it back down to something like that. And then, actually, let's do that the other way. Let's go and put that back up and then push this one up like that, a little bit more. Okay, so it's only really coming out of the top. So that's fine, we can make it a little bit smaller like that. So when we go and go and touch this trigger collider, we will go and deal with it depending on, why did I just remove that? I meant to edit it. So whenever we go into that collider, we are going to trigger this method here being called, and that is the on trigger enter, I believe, on trigger enter function. So in here, we can do, first of all, we only really want to do anything if our cube collides with it. So we can go and say if the other dot compare tag, and then this is going to be global. Do we have a global class? No, we don't. So I am going to rename this game manager to global, just because we are going to need a game manager class later. And then in our platform detect, we have a cube tag. Yes, we do. So I'm going to say global dot cube tag. So that's going to check if the game object that collides with the trigger collider, we are only going to do something if it is our cube. So if it is our cube, we can go, for now, let's just go and say print, what is it called? Game object dot tag or name. Let's see what we're colliding with. So let's go back to our game. Now we might need to fix this game manager problem. So let's go and fix it. So this just needs to be changed to global, if we can spell it correctly. So I'll copy that and paste that there. I'll save that. Where else do we need it? Nope, why did I do that? Move. It's just easier just to go into here and see what's left. So the indicator. So this needs to be changed to global. And what is that? Also needs to be changed to global. Is there anything else? Last two. Game manager. Global.0, global.0, global. Okay, so that should be fine. I think that's it. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so now that that's all gone, let's just go and play the game and see if we actually get some collisions. So we should be able to collide with our platform. So you can see we don't get any of those console logs that we had when we were using our raycast, because we haven't added onto any of the other platforms. We've only added it onto our end platform. So if we go onto this, we can see that when we collide with that, nothing happens. Where's our cube? Cube parent, do we have... We don't have a tag on there. So let's tag our cube with cube, and that should fix the problem. So now we should get a message, which we do. Okay, so now that's telling us that we are currently sitting on top of our endpoint, which is true. There's our endpoint, and our cube is directly on top of it. So that is a much easier way of detecting which platform we're on. I don't really know if it's a better way to do it, rather than using our raycasts, but we'll leave it like that for now, just to... You can't save it in there. So just to get like the game working and to get an actual game ready, we'll use a trigger. So what else we want to do? We can, first of all, let's just go to our starting point, and actually let's go to our endpoint, copy the sphere collider, go to our start point and just paste it onto here. So just paste that paste component as new. So now we have a trigger on there, and then we can go and add in our platform detector script. So that should work for our starting point, which clearly it doesn't. Let's see. Where's our platform detector? Okay. I mean, it should work. Starting point, that's there. That should be fine, because that's all we copied and pasted that. So that should be working. But it's not. Okay, there we go. It is working now. Okay, so whenever we collide with our starting point, we get starting point printed out, as well as our endpoint also printed out when we collide with that. Okay, cool. That's working good. That's working nicely. So now let's go and... Do we have multiple levels in this game, first of all? Levels. Okay, we only have one level. So we'll leave that for the next episode. Maybe in the next episode we'll get the reading the files in from the text file working. But for now, let's go and work on a little UI panel. So let's get a panel, and that's obviously going to create a canvas for us, which is here. Now we want this panel to be smaller. We don't really want it to fill up the entire screen. So let's just do that, and then we can round it off. So this we want to, let's make this 230. Actually, let's make it 250. Actually, that's not the width. So let's say, actually, let's, what do we want to do? Let's go and say, right, we'll say 140. Left, we'll also say 140. And then top, we'll say 450, sorry. And then bottom, we'll say 400. Okay, so that's fine. There's our panel. Now on this panel, we can give it a background color of like a small, like a very tinted yellowish color. We don't want it to be transparent, so we'll get rid of the transparency. And then we should, I don't really like that color. But anyway, it's not really for, actually, you know what, let's just go and import a few assets that I used in the other one. So let's go to game, where is it? Game development. It's in the other folder, which is the copy of this one. So assets, art, UI. So I'm going to copy this, and hopefully that will be able to copy it directly into this one. So same thing in our assets folder. Let's go and paste it in there. Okay, so now we should have all of our UI elements. So we can replace that with, so our panel we can replace with this. Take the background and use that. That looks much better. We can then go and add another image. This is going to be our, what's this going to be? Let's just say title, just for now. Actually, no, we don't want to do that. Let's say victory. So we'll move that up because actually we'll move that as a child object because it's going to be a child object of the entire panel. So let's move it up to the top, and then we'll scale it so that our width is about 400. The height we want about 200 maybe. No, let's go smaller, 170 maybe, a little bit smaller. Let's go 150. Let's go 140. Okay, and then our background we can drag into there, so that looks quite good. Let's just make that a bit bigger to about 150. And then we need to add some text onto that. So let's go and add in UI text element. So we'll import that, and then we can use that to add a text. So this is going to say victory. All right, so now let's go and make it bigger. So let's say about 50. We can make it all caps just because it looks better. Actually, let's go and import that font as well because that font looks terrible. So let's go back, copy fonts. We'll copy this font file, and then we'll go back to our original game, and we can paste this into here. So now we should have custom fonts, or a custom font. So we can drag this into there. Cool. So that looks much bigger, or much better. So we can also make this bigger to about 60. We don't want it to wrap onto the next line. We could probably make it bigger, maybe something like that. And then just move it up a bit into the middle, like that. It doesn't look like it's in the middle because there is a shadow on the background of the image, so it kind of offsets the middle of the overall image. So we'll leave it like that. That looks fine for now. What do we want to do next? We need to make a button. So we're not going to fill in this UI element now. We will leave that for now and then add a button to it. So let's go and add a button, and then we'll bring this down because we want this to be at the bottom just for now. I don't know, we might change it later. So on a button we can also use that UI background just to make it look good. So we can take this title panel, even though it's called title panel, we'll still use it. The text, we will use our new font, so font springs. This is going to be next level. And then we can go and make it bigger. So the height is going to be 50. Or let's make it much better, much bigger. We wanted to match kind of the top one. So I think that was 150. So let's go make it 140. The width is going to be 300. The text size, we need to scale up to about 6. No, that's a bit too big, 50. Let's go about 48. Let's change the color to white. And then we can move it all down to about there. And then let's just move our text into the middle. Actually, I'm going to make this narrower, so not so high. Let's change the height of it to about 100. 120. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so our text, we need to move down a bit into the middle, kind of like there. Okay, so now we need to get this button to work. So let's go and do that. So do we have a manager to help manage all the buttons? So we've got an animation manager, cube, no, game manager. Yeah, we'll do it in our game manager class, but we also need to rename that. So let's go to our scripts folder. Let's drag this in here first. So if we rename this to global, then we can go and create a brand new script and we'll call that game manager. So this is going to be responsible for managing our games. So when we press this button, we need to trigger a next level to appear. So it needs to handle the destroying of the current level that you're on, that you've just completed, as well as loading in the brand new level. So for now, we can get rid of that because I don't think we need that. We will need a reference to our button. So let's go and say using Unity engine.ui, I think it is, like that. So that should give us access to our button. Next level button. Okay, so actually I don't think we need that, but we don't need that. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, so here all we need is a public void next level method. So in here we are going to, for now, we're not going to trigger the new level because we don't have a second level to load in. For in this episode, we'll just get the button working, and then in tomorrow's episode, or whenever the next episode of this game is, we will go and get that working. So here, let's just go and say next level. And that should be fine for now. So if we go back onto our button, first of all, we need to create another game object, and this needs to be our game manager, and then we can drag our game manager onto there. Can you remove or reset it? But I don't think. Okay, we'll just leave it there. Doesn't really matter. So on our button, we can go and add an on-click and drag our game manager into there, and then that should give us access to our next level. So when we play our game, obviously this is going to be displayed, but when we press that, you can see our next level text or is being logged into our console. Couldn't remember what it's called, but let's go and have it so that when we go and collide with that endpoint, we can go and trigger our panel to appear on the screen. Do we want to do that in today's video? What's the time? 20. Let's see, platform detector. No, we'll do it in the next episode. So that's going to be it for today's episode, just because it will take a while. We have to drag and drop things in, and also probably create another script. So because this is on 22 minutes now, we will end off here, and we will carry on with our animations in the next episode, I think. I don't know, I'm a bit confused today, but we'll carry on with something in the next episode. So if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, please do like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.